Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be painting a tiger. Let's get started.
All right, really quick, let's talk about the supplies we'll need for this tutorial. We're doing something a little bit different today where we're going to actually draw our tiger onto printer paper. So cheap paper first, and then what we'll do is we'll trace it onto our nicer watercolor paper. That way we get a really good drawing without all the extra markings and erasings possibly from trying to draw our tiger. So supplies for today you'll need are just some paper for your drawing, pencils, a watercolor brush, and Sharpies. And then you'll need some paper towel for blotting so that you can control how much water is in your watercolor brush, and some watercolor paints. I think today we're just going to use the orange, possibly the yellow, and a little bit of this. This is called indigo. It's a really dark blue, but when you mix some water in, it turns into a really nice gray. We're going to use the Sharpie for the stripes.
Really?
Yeah, I think that'd be easier, don't you think? Another thing you're going to need is a ruler and something round for tracing a circle. We're just going to use a cup. And then the last thing you're going to need is something called transfer paper. Transfer paper is what you can use to trace your drawing onto the watercolor paper, and I'll show you how we do that in a minute. If you don't have transfer paper, just go ahead and do your drawing on the watercolor paper and just erase all the extra marks afterwards before you start painting. Ansley's missing 2 teeth in the front. Have you shown everyone? So cute. All right, you guys can download our reference photo. It's free from Unsplash, and I took the liberty to trace a circle and a triangle, which are the shapes we're going to use to draw the tiger's face, onto that reference photo. So if you want that special photo that has those traced on, just look for a link in the description below for that download. Okay, so I figured out when I was looking at my reference photo that the tiger's face can fit inside of a circle. So we're going to start by drawing a circle, and then we'll do these intersecting lines in the middle, and then we're going to draw this line in the middle between these 2 lines. And from there, that's going to be the point of our triangle, and inside of that triangle we can fit the tiger's eyes and nose, and that'll make it so perfectly proportional. Isn't that exciting? We're using a little bit of geometry today. Okay, so start with your round object. You're going to want to trace on your circle first. I'll do it first so you can watch. Try to center it on your page, although since this is just our first rough draft drawing, it doesn't really matter if it's perfect or not. The next thing we're going to do is take our ruler and draw with the ruler a line right through the middle going horizontally and one through the middle going vertically. You might need an adult to help you with this if you're having a hard time lining up your ruler right in the middle. And it doesn't have to be perfect, just mostly in the middle is okay. So one going through horizontally, that's sideways. And then you want one going up and down, that's called vertical.
It makes like 4 quarters.
Hold your ruler steady and trace your line. Great job. Now do your vertical one. So you can use the side of the paper to make sure it's straight right next to that. Next, we're going to need our ruler again to draw a line down here. This is going to be between the middle line and the bottom of the circle. And you can make a little mark in the middle right here like that.
That's where your ruler will be.
Good job. Okay, next we get to draw a triangle. I'm going to grab a different ruler. This is my crazy ladybug ruler. I don't like this ruler because it's holographic and it's hard to see the lines.
It's also pretty wobbly.
Yeah, it's very flexible, super bendy. All right, for our triangle, we want it to start right here at the point where we drew our middle line.
Right there.
And it can go, kind of like halfway between this shape from here to here, because this is going to mark where the ears go. So I'm going to draw the triangle, and it's just going to go up a little bit higher than the top of the circle. And I'm trying to make these shapes the same size. Does that make sense?
And very even.
Yeah, symmetrical. Okay, so right like that. You can go ahead and I'll hold it. You can trace just a little higher than your circle. Sweet, there we go. We got our geometric shapes on. We're ready to draw the tiger inside of our shapes.
How do you take a tiger's temperature? Very carefully.
I prefer you guys look at your reference photo because that's going to have a lot more detail in it. Oh, one more line I forgot. We need to draw the line for the eyes.
Yeah.
And that is going to be the same width as this. So about to here, we're going to draw a horizontal line just between our 2 V lines like that. Yeah. All right. So what is that line marking for us? Can you tell?
The eyes.
The eyes. That is where the top of the eyes are going to go. So now we're ready to actually draw the details in our tiger's face. Let's start with the ears, actually. This little part of our V is showing the middle of the ear. So from there, you can draw a rounded shape. Try to make them about the same size. You see how the line cuts right in the middle of the ear. Nice ear. The nice thing about drawing on these scrap sheets of paper is that we can make mistakes and erase and scribble, and it's totally fine. We're going to trace the good part of our drawing to our watercolor paper once it's all ready to go. That looks great. Nice job. Do you want to do the eyes or the nose next?
The nose, since
The
it's
nose.
hard.
Oh, I don't think the nose is too hard. So it is marked by the point of our triangle here, and I think it comes out just a little wider maybe than our V, so you can make it flare out a little bit past your V. So it's sort of like this V shape, but that curves, and it's black and dark at the bottom, right there at that point. Now about halfway up in this shape right here, see this line? About halfway, can you find that point with your pencil?
Right here.
Yeah, that's where we're going to draw just a very wide curve, and then it's going to curve downward like that. Up in the middle and then down on the sides. Like a frown and then a smile and then a frown. Now for the nostrils, we're going to draw these inside of our V, and it just comes down like that. Good job. Nice nostrils. Next, let's do the eyes. So we already said that this line here marks the top of the eyes, and they are right in the corner of this triangle and this triangle. Inside of those corners, we're going to draw this almond shape. It's not a circle, it's more like an oval, but the sides are pointed where the corners of the eyes are. Yeah, try to make them the same size. And then the inner corner of the eye is black, so you can draw it in really dark. Tigers have these really dark rims around their eyes that are so cool looking. And the pupil is just a tiny little circle. And if you want to make it look realistic, you can draw in a highlight. I'm doing a dark inside of the ears, just a little bit of a shading motion here with my pencil. Can make the inner ears really dark. Nice. Now for the eyes, can you just make this little dark sliver shape in the corner of the eye? So it just extends it a little bit. It's kind of like you're just making this line a little longer and making it really dark. Let's do the mouth next. So coming back to this point of our triangle, this is where the mouth is going to start, and we're just going to do one on this side, a curved, it's another smiley face shape, one on that side and one on this side, and try to make them the same size. And in between his mouth, right there, it's really dark. You can see in the reference photo, it's so dark. It's just black fur. And then from the corner of his eye, I want you to make a J that swoops down to his mouth. And the other side, match that, except this is backwards J. So that's outlining the shape of his muzzle. Now for the lower part of his mouth, it's really just a circle shape. That is looking awesome. The last thing we need to do is start adding some stripes. Now tigers usually have a big stripe that kind of is going to match the movement of the circle on the outer edges of his head, and I'm making it a little bit scruffy, yeah. So you can do sort of a dashed or dotted motion with your pencil to make it look a little more furry. So practice this for a minute. Since this is scrap paper, can you just do this? Good, super close together. Squiggle marks. And that looks like fur, doesn't it? The corners of the mouth down here are going to be really dark. There are some spots that start bigger on the outer side of his muzzle and get smaller as you come close to his nose. See how it goes big, 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 and then small, small, small? Big, big, small, small, small.
Are those for the whiskers?
Yeah, these are called whisker pads, and the whiskers grow out of those. I added a line here that's sort of outlining the eye, and it's just a curved shape that moves down towards the muzzle, and that's helping us make sense of the line of the tiger's face. I keep calling him a lion. I don't know why.
Because I said lion.
You said lion. You threw me. All right, let's add a shorter stripe right next to this bigger one. We're going to start right here in the middle of this triangle shape. And it's a little skinnier than that big stripe, and it's going to curve down like a J shape. And you can match that one on the other side. We're not making these exactly like the reference photo. We're simplifying the stripes quite a bit. And then in this space here, if you have room, you can put another shorter stripe like that. Now look at the top of the tiger's head. Do you see what direction the stripes are moving? Are they going up and down or kind of sideways?
Sideways.
Yeah. So let's do a stripe on the top that's matching the curve of the circle. One like that. And then coming away from the center of the head, I'm going to make a shape like that. So it's skinny and then fat and then skinny. And then another shape like that. These don't have to be perfect. We're just doing these sideways lines coming away from the center. So I did about 3 of them, and I got smaller and smaller as I come towards the eyes. Now above the eyes, these are important stripes. Do you see these little comma looking shapes like that? And then a shorter comma shape right next to it. coming away towards the ears like that. Wow, I think it looks awesome. Don't you think it looks like a tiger?
Yeah.
Yeah. The last thing I'm adding is a couple of stripes coming down, almost like arms reaching down towards his chest. Just swooping down like that. And that's it. Your tiger looks amazing. Wow, awesome. So with our rough drafts, that's what they are, all sketched on. The next step is to take our transfer paper and we're going to trace the drawing onto our actual watercolor paper. So what happens is you put the watercolor paper down and you put the shiny side of your transfer paper down onto the watercolor paper. Place your drawing right in the middle over the top.
And trace it.
All right. And if you want to make sure that it doesn't float away on you, you can tape down the side so it doesn't budge while you're transferring it. Now, when you're tracing over the top, press hard enough so that your markings will go through the transfer paper to your watercolor paper. And don't trace your triangle shapes or those geometric lines that we put in.
Yeah, we're just tracing the outline of the tiger, not the triangles.
Exactly. So both of us are going to trace now our drawings onto our watercolor paper. So trace all the stripes that you drew on. But we'll go over those with Sharpies, so if you don't fill it all in dark, that's okay. All right, let's see if it worked. Ah!
It's pretty light.
Yeah, that's okay. Because we're going to do paint over the top, it's better that it's a little lighter.
Wow.
Looks like I forgot to do this stripe right here. Should we see how we did? Oh! So if you forgot anything, like the inside of the mouth, you'll probably have to just draw that on.
Whoopsie.
If you can draw it once, you can draw it again, right?
Mm-hmm.
Good job. So if it looks super light, that's okay. We're going to do our Sharpies next. Time to start outlining. Now, I don't really want you to outline your circle shape super dark because if you look at the picture, this is all white fur, isn't it? It's not black fur. So don't outline it super dark. Where you do want to outline are maybe the outer edges of the ear, and it doesn't have to be fuzzy. And now is your chance to fix any lines that maybe you forgot or weren't quite happy with. And the stripes especially, we're going to do with our Sharpie. So do you remember how we were practicing this motion? Right? We're going to try to do that with the stripes. And if you can't, that's okay. Just go ahead and do a straight line. But I'm going to try to do a fuzzy, kind of sideways, scrubby shape with my Sharpie and following my pencil marks in the shape of those stripes.
On what day do tigers eat people? Tuesday.
If you're not sure, look at the reference photo. That's where I'm looking. And that's how I know what to do. Are we ready to start painting? Okay, look at the photo again. Where do you see orange on the tiger's face?
Around its eyes. Right
Yeah, in the middle of the face. This whole muzzle right here is going to be orange. And under the eyes. But there's like a tiny little sliver right here that's white, isn't it? And above the eyes, there's this patch of white fur. But here in the center of the head, the orange kind of comes down. So look at your photo for guidance for where to put your orange. This is the orange color. So I'm going to spray that so it's ready to go. Dip your brush in your water and remove the extra water on the side of your jar. Then I'm going to take some of the paint, but instead of just going right into my painting, I'm going to swirl it on my palette so I can see just how dark it is. And I like how dark that looks. Okay, now look at how I'm holding my brush so that it's straight at the top, and I'm going to go swooping across the top of the head and pulling the paint down
towards the muzzle.
I'm going to dip in the water and remove a little so I can get lighter paint in the middle of the face. So you're going to take your orange and paint it in the center of the head, under the eyes, but not into that white sliver.
Like right here.
Mm-hmm, good. And it goes
Harder.
under the ears, but just for a little bit, doesn't go all the way down. And you can take a little bit on the top of the ears. Everything needs to be symmetrical, so if you do it on one side, do it on the other too. Okay, so now grab a little more orange and let's paint along the side of our tiger. Just a couple little suggestions of the orange fur. This is showing the side of his body, kind of how wide he is. But his whole chest is white, isn't it? If you see in the picture. All right, I'm rinsing out all that orange completely. What color is his nose?
His nose is pink.
I have a little red here. If you swirl it with a tiny bit of water on the palette, it makes pink. Remove any extra water from your brush though. And let's just fill in the whole nose pink. Maybe a little more paint and a little less water. So dip more directly into the palette. Good. And take that amount of paint. Much better. It will dry a little lighter. Let's make the eyes orange too. So just take a little bit of your orange. You can fill in the eyes, but leave one little highlight. All right, the last thing we're going to do is add a tiny bit of shading. Shading is one thing that can make your painting look super realistic. And we're going to use our indigo. But if we add some water to it and swirl it on the palette, look how light that looks. Kind of looks like a light gray, doesn't it? So we're going to take that and put it on the underside of his head and on his chest. And you can have plenty of water mixed in here, honestly, because we want it to be really light. Nice. You want to go a little darker? Just dip into the indigo again and swirl it on the palette. Add a little bit of water. Just a dip, yep. And then I put a little bit inside the ears. So let's let that dry. While that's drying, we can paint a background color if we want to. I like this turquoise blue color. Do you want to make it green?
Yeah.
Well, all we have to do is mix in some yellow with it. So you take some yellow and some blue and then paint it around your tiger. This is an optional step if you guys are all finished and you want to add whiskers. There are a bunch of ways you could do whiskers. You could use a white colored pencil. You could use a white acrylic paint or something that's opaque, which is not see-through. We're going to use the easiest method to do whiskers, and that is a
Gel pen.
Yes. So you'll add your whiskers coming away from the whisker pads right over the top of your dark paint, like that. There's our finished tigers. We hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon. Bye!
Bye.